We're in. Welcome everyone to the Rink Rat Report podcast bonus episode today. Joined today by Laura Stacey, Canadian Olympian. Actually, it's just a hell of a hockey resume here. I had to write it down. It's so long here. Under 18 gold, 2-time world championship gold, 1-time Olympic gold, 1-time world championship silver, 1-time world under 18 silver, 1-time Olympic gold, silver, 1-time world championship bronze, and is this correct here? A CWHL championship as well with the Markham Thunder.
Yeah.
Laura, thank you for joining the show today. How is it going?
Thanks for having me. It's going great. Nice fall day, that's for sure.
Oh yes, it's 28 up here in Toronto. Just insane
Yeah.
for
I know,
October
it's
2nd weather.
crazy.
I know.
Crazy, but I love it.
Yeah, hopefully it extends. We get a few extra weeks of golf in here before the season kicks off. So I wanted to start today's show. I was very, very curious. You went from 4 years at Dartmouth, an exceptional NCAA career there, and then you went into the CWHL as well as you were playing on the World Championship team for Team Canada. I wanted to get your perspective on what was the biggest differences in the game that you saw transitioning from the NCAA to the World Championship as well as the pro ranks.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're in college, you're surrounded by all the resources at your fingertips. Your teammates are living with you. You have tutors, you have skills sessions, you have all of these amazing resources, especially as female athletes at your fingertips. And when you graduate, when you turn pro, in a sense, especially at the part of where pro hockey was as a female when I graduated over 6 years ago, it was now all of a sudden you had so much time and you had to figure out your priorities and where you were going to spend all that extra time because you didn't have that school and the social life and all those things. You now just had to focus on professional hockey. And so I would say that was definitely one of the biggest differences is now the responsibility is all on you. You don't necessarily have all those people saying you have to be here, you go here, trainings at this time, shooting lessons are at this time. It's now, what do you want? How good do you want to be? Where are you going to allocate your time? How are you going to get better? So I would say that was definitely the biggest difference I got to learn is now it's on me. I need to sleep well. I need to meal prep so that I can be ready for the games and practices and all those different things. Obviously, in terms of hockey and on ice and the game that way, it's another level. I think as you kind of go up the ranks, you make it to the national team, you turn pro. Every single level, there's that jump in speed, in decision making. And honestly, I think just the biggest difference is now every single player is really, really good. And in college, it was that way too. No, don't get me wrong. But as soon as you start making that national team, as soon as you start getting older, the differences between the players in the lineup and the players just not making it is very, very slim. So, how do you find a way to be a good teammate? How do you find a way to have an impact in no matter what role you have? And I think that is a significant lesson that you need to learn too when you're moving from college to professional hockey or making the jump to the national team.
In addition to that kind of question, I want to layer on that a little bit. Did you have like a kind of welcome to the show moment, would you say, when you made that transition from the NCAA?
No, I would say definitely not. I would say our welcome to the show moment is definitely this year, right now, when we're starting to sign pro contracts, when where we have a real draft where people are getting drafted kind of no matter where, no matter what city. When I graduated, it was like, hey, I'm going to live in Toronto. That's where my parents are from. They can help me pay rent for the time being. And I live in this area. So, hey, Toronto or Markham, can you draft me? And nowadays, and today, this very day, the PWHL, that's not what it is. It's an integral draft and it's people choosing to make the best possible team that they want to have. And so I think that was seeing that draft, getting to sign in free agency. I think that was the first moment I was like, aha, this is pro. This is what it's like to make it, to become a pro, to have those resources available at your fingertips, to be surrounded by a professional team behind you. And I think that it's crazy. Obviously, and it's totally different on the national side of things. Every time you show up to a Hockey Canada event, it is completely professional. So I think I've had my moments there, but it's totally different when you're just going there for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then you come home to back to that professional lifestyle, and it's not there. So I think in general of like that wow moment of women's hockey has made it is definitely more
Mhm.
this past month than anything for sure.
Yeah, and we got the season starting in January. We're really looking forward to that. This is a Leafs podcast, but definitely begrudgingly almost going to have to be cheering for our PWHL Montreal there. And so, in terms of your play style, was doing some research the other night there. It seems like a lot of your offensive generation is coming with your speed, like just a very like a long and fast stride, as well as off the one timer. There was this something that you had to kind of carve out yourself and change, or has this just always been a natural kind of ability and the natural way that you've been scoring and contributing offensively your entire life?
No, I think it's definitely I've had to work on and improve. I think having the opportunity to play on the national team and kind of realize the impact you can have in no matter what role you have, and I think that's something I've really learned along the way. And you kind of mentioned it before, but carving out a career and by being a good teammate, having an impact in no matter what role, and I think that's a tough lesson to learn sometimes when you are in the NCAA and things go a lot more smoothly, or you're on the first line, or you're on the first power play, and then you make that national team, but you're not quite in that same role that you're used to, or the one that you've always wanted to have. And so I think for me, that was definitely a learning moment. And how do I produce in this new role? How do I have an impact in this new role? And so it's still a process that I'm working on and trying to improve on, because it isn't easy, and there's always more room for improvement of like, hey, this is where I'm at, but how do I keep pushing? How do I keep pushing the team to be better, but also myself to be better? And so I think that being that more power forward, or being that more tough to play against, fast, physical, strong forward is definitely something that I've started to more realize that no matter what role I'm in, whether I play 3 minutes or 10 minutes a period, whether I play no matter what, no matter how many minutes the entire game, I think if I can be that player and be the player that the strengths that I have, and use those strengths, then no matter what position I'm in, I can have an impact. And I think that's taken some time to realize. And
Mhm.
definitely have been some ups and downs away, times where it's working, times where it's not. But I think as of late, I think I definitely have tried to kind of remain in that present and say, hey, this is what's working. This is my type of hockey. This is my skill sets. And no matter where I'm at in a lineup, showing up with that fun, energy, hardworking, but also power forward style. And I think that's what I want to continue to bring to Montreal and to the national team, and hopefully continue to have an impact with it.
Was there anyone that you kind of modeled your game after, or was it just something that I know it's such a cliche kind of question, and not everyone is, you know, watching clips of another player going, "I
That
have to be like this." But was there someone that you kind of modeled your game after? Would you say?
that's a good question. I don't really have the answer to that. I think somebody
Mhm.
that I've kind of lately watched more. Well, two players I would say I'm a big Leaf fan too. So back in the day, or a couple years ago, a Zach Hyman style of a player, just
Oh
hard in
yeah.
your face, first on the forecheck, gritty, getting pucks out of the corner, but also still trying to attack himself and
Mhm.
create plays. And strong defensively also is an important factor of his game. So that's somebody that I definitely watched a lot in Toronto and was like, this is I really like his style of play. Obviously, there's differences, of course, but I did really appreciate that type of game. Obviously, Josh Anderson in Montreal, that bigger
Mm.
power forward, strong, still has quite a lot of speed. That style of play, I obviously look up to and watch as well. So I would say, obviously, Nathan McKinnon's power and speed is something
Mm.
that I would like just kill to have and to keep growing off of, because he's just impressive to see. But
Yeah.
no, I think those other two are definitely guys that I've watched or watched video of or clips of, and even my coaches have sent me clips of those two players, and how they were successful, and how I can kind of
Mhm.
use similar strengths of mine to be successful in my own way.
Exactly. Yeah, I do see it with Zach Hyman. That's a great kind of comparison player there. Um, I wanted to get into a little bit of the Olympic team there. You've been a part of two Olympic teams now, which when you say two Olympic teams, it's okay. But then when you put into context that that's 8 total years of your life there, it's pretty cool, pretty crazy to be a part of such a storied team for that amount of time. I wanted to get your perspective on what it's been like for your player development when you get to play and practice with the best players each day in and day out. How has
Yeah.
that had an impact on your play?
I think it's huge, and I think obviously when we're in college, we're with and against some great players, and you think that at the time you think that's when you're peaking, that's when you're going to be your best because you're still young, you still got it. And to be honest, I think I've started to realize that that's not necessarily the case. And when you graduate, you're now, like I said, your sole focus is now being the best possible hockey player and person you can be. And so surrounding yourself with those amazing hockey players, those amazing athletes, but also those great people that are going to push you, that are going to challenge you, that are going to pick you up when you're having a tougher day. I 100% think that's a really big part of developing as an athlete and developing as a person. And I think when you're pushed every single day, when you're outside of your comfort zone, when you're showing up to practice and you're constantly going head to head against some of your competition or some of the other best players in the world, you really do see where you can learn from. And I think that's another big part of it. Yes, you're pushed. Yes, you're competing. Yes, you're working together, but I think you can also learn a lot from other people's games and use their strengths or use what you see from them and add to your own game. And I think getting the chance to work with some of the best goalies, you can now be like, hey, this is what they're doing when I do this, and how do I shift and find a way to score goals. And I think that's a really big part of it too, is how can we learn off one another about what works, what doesn't, what's going to make me better, what's going to make them better. And then obviously the competition and the pushing each other and the battles is another level as well.
So you mentioned the goalies there. Obviously piqued my interest a little bit. But so Anne-Marie Desbiens is playing on your team in PWHL Montreal. Yourself, Marie-Philippe Poulin, and obviously Anne-Marie were the first three players signed to PWHL Montreal. Have you had conversations with Anne-Marie trying to figure out like what it's like from the goalie's perspective in that sort of sense? Is that what you were mentioning there?
Yeah, for sure. I think we work with Anne a lot. I think even just getting to be a part of all their goalie sessions and seeing the way she moves, seeing the way she challenges certain plays versus others. I think even on the national team, I think we work a lot with our goalie coach about different ways to score, where their goalies' weaknesses are, and how do we exploit that. But then on the flip side, it's just this is what a regular goalie is going to do. This is where they're going to look. This is how they're going to move in this certain scenario. And let's find a way to beat that or do something different so that they don't expect what you're doing. And I think that's been a really big part of one of our upgrades or working to get to score more goals on the national team. And I think that definitely transfers to the Montreal team as well. I'm working with Anne and obviously she wants to save them, but she also wants to help us score them against the other goalies too. So I think that's a big part of teamwork is helping each other, growing together, and pushing each other.
Exactly. Yeah, we did an episode actually with Jamie Phillips, who was a former pro goaltender, and the whole purpose of the episode was kind of trying to get his reads on certain plays and certain goals to see like where the goalie tripped up and what read he missed on here and there, to try to see like how can players exploit it. Unfortunately, it was a very niche episode and it really just entertained me, but I thought it was phenomenal stuff
Cool.
there. So going back to the Olympic teams there, you guys had a warm up that went a little bit viral there. Were you part of that, creating that dance, or is that someone else on the team pushing that forward?
Yeah, no, I think all of us were a part of it, to be honest with you. It was COVID. So a lot of our things or our activities and events leading up to the Olympics were pretty tough. And the
Mm,
leadership group and the coaching staff and Hockey Canada in general really tried to find ways to still make it special and still team bond. And even though we were stuck in hotel rooms and in quarantine all the time. And one of them, we were allowed to be the 23 of us kind of in a big room together. So we all had our masks on and we weren't allowed to bring in any outsiders, but we were able to Zoom a hip hop teacher in. And so the 23 of us were in this room with a big Zoom screen on with a hip hop teacher. And we were all kind of spread out on this carpet and we were learning all these different dance moves. And that specific dance was one of the dances that we learned with this hip hop coach. And honestly, I think the hip hop teacher must have been just like cracking up at us because we were so bad. But we loved it. We had such a good time, and honestly, we would just keep like doing random moves from this song. And then one day, when we had arrived at the Olympics, we were super late to practice just with everything that was happening. We had no time to warm up, so our trainer Jer was like, "Okay, guys, like we're just gonna do our hip hop dance," and we literally turned the music on, and we literally just busted out and tried to remember everything that we had learned from our hip hop coach. And it just was hilarious, and everybody was just so light and having fun, and it was stressful because it was COVID and the Olympics and
Mhm.
people's first time there, and whatever the case may be, there was so many nerves going, and that literally just snapped us into place and had everybody like laughing and giggling, and it just really settled us down. And so it ended up being something that we did before every single game. And I think by the end of it, we got pretty good at it. But
Yeah.
man, we still definitely could work on some of that hip hop for sure. But it was awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really cool to see, and the choreography and the kind
Yeah.
of the syncing of it looked very good. Looked like you guys had done it more than a couple times there. So going back to the Olympics, do you have any kind of fun stories that you can share from that? I mean, you guys were in quarantine for 2 weeks prior to that. Anything happen in there that was kind of funny?
I would say the hip hop class was definitely a highlight
Yeah.
of the 2 week quarantine. There was a lot of nerves, a lot of scary situations. We were
Hmm.
testing every single day and just like
Oh yeah.
waiting by the test to see our results. So it was quite the scary time. But I think our team, our leadership group, our coaching staff did a really good job of finding ways to still connect us. And we had different calls with different people on Zoom, and had a couple drinks on the Zoom time delivered to our hotel room doors the odd night. And so it was honestly, it was the best of a tough situation. And then
Hmm.
once we got to Beijing, I think a little bit of the nerves were taken, but we still had to test every single day, and you wanted to be a part of that. You wanted to be at the rink every day and not be stuck in your Olympic room. So I think there was always that piece in the back of your head saying like, I got to do whatever I can to stay away from this, to stay healthy, to test negative. So it definitely took a little bit away from it. But to be honest, I thought it was still amazing being a part of the Olympic Village, and it's like the COVID Olympics. So nobody's ever going to forget that one, you know. And
No.
I think that's how we were all saying it. It was like one for the memory books, and obviously we still made the best of it. We had so much fun after we had won. I think it was kind of obviously an amazing celebration. But then the next 3 days, we were able to experience some of the other events and going to watch the other athletes.
Yeah.
And once that like our event was done and we were celebrating and everything was, it's a lot easier to now like relax and enjoy and go and see these sports versus being so scared about testing positive the next day. So it was quite the amazing experience. And I think they did an amazing job of still making it an experience and still making it feel like the Olympics, even though our parents and family and friends couldn't be there. They were on the screens after the games when you came out, and they were putting big smiles on all of our faces. And our team was, we got videos from different families throughout the tournament too, which just made people light up. So I think in general it was obviously a really tough situation and a tough year, but so worth it. And also when you experience that nerve and that chaos, and that it just makes the memories that much more,
Mhm.
I don't know, sustainable, or going to be there forever because it's something you're never truly going to forget.
Exactly. Yeah. What was it like playing with an N95 in one of the games? Were the shifts a little bit shorter in that one?
Oh yeah, it was so hard to breathe, and they were soaked by the end of it. We were changing all the time because they were just drenched in sweat. And it was again, it was another story that's just like you're never ever gonna forget playing in an N95 mask for 3 periods against Russia. And it was quite the game. It was delayed, it was pushed back, it was, and we honestly were just doing our dance in the room. We were having the time of our lives. And I think that was one of our slogans going around at the time. Like, this is the time of our lives. Like,
Hmm.
yes, it's COVID. Yes, we're wearing masks. Yes, there's all these things that are not ideal at an Olympics. But at the end of the day, like, we're living the time of our lives. We have a dream that's come true. We're here. So let's make the best of it and let's enjoy it. And any bump that was thrown our way that year as a team, we just literally steamrolled it right over and had fun with it. And I think that was one of the biggest difference makers between winning gold and not.
Yeah, and also you guys had a game. It was, I think it started right after the Super Bowl between the Bengals and the Rams. Um,
Okay.
I hit it with it was kind of like a gambling degeneracy here. I'm not a big gambler at all, but going from the Super Bowl, I had a couple dollars left over and hitting the over. I think it was between Canada and Switzerland where you guys scored a ridiculous
Okay.
amount of goals. Really, really did hit a high there. So I really gotta hats off to you guys for that one. That one felt awesome. And then the gold as well. So I had a great tournament chasing those highs.
Nice. Love
Anyways,
that.
yeah. I wanted to get a little bit into the PWHL. What are you looking forward to most about the inaugural season that we got coming up?
Yeah, I can't wait. I think we've been talking about this for so long. We've been sitting out for 4 years. We've been dreaming about it since we were little kids. Obviously, we never even thought it was possible that we would be playing professional women's hockey. I think a lot of us had dreams about playing on the Olympic team or maybe playing in the NHL for some of us, but we never really thought it would be possible that we would be playing professional women's hockey. And I think to be here now to see this happen, I think it's pretty special to be a part of the inaugural first ever PWHL league. And obviously, I played in the CWHL. Obviously, I've been a part of the PWHPA, and I've seen all the different leagues and things that have happened in women's hockey, and they're all amazing. And we owe a lot to all those trailblazers who have kind of pushed us to where we are today. But to be at that next crossroads, to be at that next step of something truly special, something that's going to push women's hockey even further along is pretty cool to see. And I don't know what I'm most excited about. I'm just excited about it actually happening, it coming to life, us getting to put on jerseys of new teams and having 6 amazing teams that are going to compete and be excited. And the competition's going to be amazing because now we're having all of the best players in the world in one league playing against each other on a regular basis. So I'm really excited about to see that. And then I think also just to see all the kids showing up to the games and now having the chance to dream to play professional hockey. I think, like I said, we didn't really have that dream because we never saw it. I only saw women's hockey on TV at the Olympics every 4 years. And so that's what I dreamed about. That's what I wanted to be a part of. But to have the chance to be a little girl growing up just outside of Toronto or just outside of Montreal or in these big cities now or wherever they are, to be able to come and watch in person professional women's hockey it is truly special. And I think one of the biggest reasons and the biggest things that I'm excited about.
Well said. It's going to, set up the next generations and excite the next generations and really build up women's hockey. And I can't wait for the product that we're going to see here. The
Me too.
Olympics are always really fun, and I can't wait for the best players in the world to be playing in a season there. So my next question regarding PWHL Montreal, is there a teammate that you have on your team right now that you're glad you're not playing against this season? Someone that you've played with in the past?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of them would definitely be Anne Renee, just because she's one of the best goalies in the world, and so to have
Hmm.
that on your team versus constantly shooting against her and trying to find a way to go in, I think that's a pretty good feeling to have as being a part of a new team. I would say I've played against Kristen O'Neill, with her and against her quite a bit, and she's not an easy player to play against. So I'm pretty lucky to have her on her team. Obviously, everybody, I think Pooh is the best player in the world, and so to have her on the team, I think she's definitely somebody that nobody really wants to play against. Just that's just the way it works, and I'm glad that we get to have her on the Canadian team, but also on Montreal as well. Uh, that's what you asked, right? Play with?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then the
Yeah, yeah,
next question was playing against someone that you've played
yeah,
with in the past and
yeah.
that now you're not too excited to be playing against.
Yeah, I would say obviously I've last year with the national team and with my PWHPA team, I got to play with Joss and Renata,
Mhm.
2 great defensemen, and so to see them together in Toronto is definitely something I'm not that excited to go up against. Obviously, just constantly going up against those 2 defenders is a tall task. They're both quite the skilled defensemen, hard to play against, gritty, competitive, and so you always know it's going to be a battle that they're going against those 2. So I would definitely have to say I'm not that excited that we're not on the same
Yeah,
team this year.
exactly. And then Natalie Spooner in the fourth round to Toronto. That's a steal for that team right there. I got to tell you that one.
Yeah.
I think that covers everything from my questions here. Laura, I can't thank you enough for hopping on here. Really excited to be for the coming year. Do you have anything that you want to plug? I know you have your LS7 tournament in the summer.
Yeah, I do. I have a charity road hockey tournament every summer. I don't have the date of it yet for next year, but it does happen every summer. So if you check out my social media, it'll definitely be posted in the next little bit of what month and what date. Hopefully next summer it'll be. But yeah, it's all about getting kids outside, active in their communities, playing sports. Obviously, I was really fortunate to be able to play whatever sport I wanted when I was a young kid, and obviously found my passion and my dream in hockey. And so if we can give one kid that same opportunity to dream about something, to be active, to get outside and find something they love, I think that's a success. And that's what we've been trying to do for the past 4 or 5 years. So it's definitely something I'm really proud of and really want to keep pushing forward and growing. So yeah, I appreciate that. And thanks for having me. I think it's awesome to see podcasts and people and media
Yeah,
growing women's hockey, supporting women's hockey. A lot of people say they do, but actually reaching out and actually showing up to the games and being a part of it is what makes a big difference. So thanks for doing this.
of course, of course. And your socials are at Laura Stacey 7. Check it out there. You have all the details there. I know the video recap that you did this year, it looked exceptional. Just so,
Yeah, it
so,
was
so well
awesome.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have some great videographers, photographers that make it look amazing. Obviously, I do think it is amazing in person too, but I've been really lucky to have the volunteers and the support and the team behind the team. So it's been quite the ride doing that. It's something I never thought that would be where it is today, but it's definitely something I'm really, really excited and proud of. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's you built it up into such an amazing thing. Anyways, thank you, Laura, so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and can't wait to see you at the rivalry series and then the start of the PWHL inaugural season.
thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.